My name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden. Here is where I empower women to reclaim their authentic power, embrace their inner wisdom, and transform life's most challenges. Transitions into profound opportunities for spiritual growth and self-discovery. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. Subscribe to the newsletter at Elizabeth Magical Garden, as well as check out my podcast at Elizabeth Magical Garden, which goes live every single Thursday.
Guys, this is my third time recording this podcast. I kid you not, but I'm going to get through it, okay? Because this message is important, and I pray to God that he gives me the strength, right? Guys, it is the springtime, and this is the season for your abundance. I'm going to get straight to it. Your ability to produce and put forth good fruit is dependent on your ability to believe. Believe in yourself. Believe that you have the tools that is needed already available for you, regardless of what your finances is saying, regardless of what your physicality is saying, regardless of what you can currently see in your life right now. First, you have to forget yourself. You have to forget the naysayers. Get away from them. The people that are complaining, the people that do not believe in their own beliefs, they don't have beliefs in themselves. The people that are not doing the work, run. Run from these people. I don't care who they are. It could be a close relative. It could be a close friend. Run from them. And I'm not saying dump them, but get away from them, because you're not doing them a justice or yourself by staying in proximity of these people. These people are dream killers, regardless, whether if they know it or not. Okay? Because anyone that is not able to see themselves in a particular way, that is an energy, and you will adapt that energy. You need to be around people that are doing way better than you, have already succeeded have already succeeded on a high level, on a level that you are wanting to achieve, whatever the goal is. Read the books, listen to the podcast, whatever you have to do to get that much closer in a mental state where it will allow you to build the capacity to receive the abundance that you are praying for. Because what I'm realizing is that some people will say you have to raise your floor. You're not going to be able to You're not going to be able to get the money, do the things, achieve the goals if you do not raise your floor, if you do not raise your capacity to receive the ideas. Because here's the thing. Until you get to that point, you're going to always be stuck. I would equate this to a little child. When a little child is growing, I remember when my son was a toddler, right? He was like a textbook baby, to be honest. He did everything like around the average time that you're supposed to do it. I remember he started walking, just when he turned a year. We had his birthday, and 2 days later, he was walking. One of the things that thinking back, that I realized, he was able to walk. He was taking like baby steps. He was able to walk before his birthday. But he didn't have the capacity of believing in himself to consistently do it. He was scared, right? He was scared, like a little baby. They're scared to make that move because for a little baby standing up, the floor looks really scary. It's shaky. This is something they never did before. They always was down on the floor. They always was holding on to something. It was always being picked up, and now they're standing up, right? They may look short and little to us, but the floor looks really, really far for them because they're not used to being elevated in that state. But when they start taking the first step and then they take the next step without holding on, and they realize like, I can do this, and they also see other people doing it, then they build the confidence. Now they have the capacity to continue doing the move, which is walking forward. And next thing you know, they're running. This is the same thing with you. When you are starting that business, it's scary, right? It's very scary to create that LLC. It's very scary to sit in front of that laptop or computer and start writing that book. It's very scary when you first go to the gym. It's like everybody's you hear the machines clinking and everybody's moving around, and everybody just looks like they know exactly what they're doing. I remember the first time I went to the gym. I've been off going to the gym off and on, but it is something a little daunting when especially if you haven't worked out for a very long time. You guys, you know what I'm talking about. When you first go into the gym, and even when you are a seasoned gym member, you always gotta kind of like get your legs back on, right? I know recently, now that the weather is breaking, I went back to the gym. I did a soft workout, and I love to, after I do my yoga, I do like to get on the treadmill. Some people like to get on the treadmill and then do the yoga to I think they say it's really good for the nervous system because you get to calm down and do that. But for me, I like to work my way up to the run, and there you go. And then I go home with all these endorphins, right? But I remember you always feel a little like not as strong. And I've been working out in my home, but there's a different energy from working out at home than when you are working out at the gym. Right? So there's a threshold that you have to get back to or start to get on. And anything that you start in life will summons this fear. Anything that you try to put forth when you take that first step is going to feel shaky. It's going to feel like you're going to fail. You may even fail the first time because, again, when a baby starts to walk, what do? They fall. Right? They fall, they cry, and what do their parents do? Cheer them on. And I believe that the Creator God cheers us on, gives us a word of encouragement. Heck, this particular episode may be a very word that somebody needed to hear. This could be the episode that is giving you the word of encouragement. You know what you're enduring. You know your dreams. You know your aspirations. You know what you are going for. A lot of times, especially artists, we suffer in silence. There is really no one to talk to. There's really no one to cheer you on. You're the cheerleader. You're the everything. But yet you still come back. You still get the paper and the utensils and you start to draw. I started drawing. Oh, guys, I started dabbling in drawing. And when I say drawing, I love I fell in love with stick figures and moving them in ways where it's just fun. And as I'm sketching and drawing, and I used to always sketch when I was a young girl, but it's something about those stick figures that allows me the freedom to be more expressive, and also explain things in a different way. And be sure to check out my vlog channel because you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. I go live on that channel as well, and the lives are still up, and you'll see what I mean in terms of the stick figures and some of the things I've been drawing on there. So be sure to check that out and subscribe. But there's no one cheering you on. There's no one helping you in that way mentally. And if you have somebody, one or two people that are cheering you up, you are blessed, child. This is nothing to take lightly. But I believe that the Creator God puts things, gives us the capacity to move that further. Because why? He knew us before we were created, guys. Think about it. Do you remember who you were before you went into you was in your mother's womb? Do you believe it? Do you believe to know? Do you know where you came from? No. No one knows. No one knows. But yet God says, I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. Let's just take a pause right now. God knew you before you were in your mother's womb. So then that means to say that there was a relationship already established. And if there was a relationship already established, that means that you already were established here on earth. That means that you came here with your blessings. You know, in Genesis, God mentioned to Abraham that through your lineage you will be abundant, and your children's children and nations will come through you, and they will be abundant. And this is God's covenant that was established with Abraham forever and ever. And he also allowed him to have a child named Isaac that was born when Abraham and his wife was well in past childbearing years. I'm talking about hundreds, okay? And to the point when he told Abraham, Abraham laughed to himself like, okay, what? And he was already established. He had money, right? Him and his wife didn't have a child as yet, to the point where his wife got Hagar. Okay, that's a whole nother topic, right? Because again, us doing things because we don't believe that God is going to do it, right? So she went and took one of her slaves and gave to Abraham to have a child with. So, you know, all this stuff that they have could be passed down to this child, at least, because they didn't have a child yet. And come to find out, the next year, boom, she had a baby. Now, I'm not going to get into that whole story because the drama is real with that whole story, okay, for those who don't know. And for those who doesn't know, you know what? You're welcome. You're welcome in advance, and go and do the reading if you see fit. But my point here is that the point that I'm making is that we have this thing where we'll start to make up reasons for why God hasn't done what he was supposed to do yet. Or we'll start doing things, making up ideas, knowing that you know your vision, but now you want to go and do this. You want to do that. You know, there's this book called 10X is Better Than 2X. It's a really great book. I just recently finished reading that book, and one of the concepts in that book, one of the main concepts of the book, without spoiling it for you guys, you really, especially like anybody should read that book, everybody and anybody. And I don't listen, the birth, okay, but it is a good book, and the concept in this book is about focusing on one thing. Focusing on the idea and seeing it through and going all in. Right? So when Abraham was told that he was going to have a child, and because he was already way past childbearing, way past a young man, he didn't see it, right? And I think that most of us would feel the same way. Like, what? What do you mean? And this is why it can be very hard to bring forth a vision that you have for yourself because you can't see it, right? You start to doubt it because it's so far-fetched. It sounds so obscure that if anything, you start to poison it before it even gets to have life, but you can feel it. You could feel it in your bones. You could feel it in your gut. You know this is yours. You know that that book is ready to be birthed. You know that you have the ability to be the first one in your family to be affluent. You know that you were meant for more. You know that you are supposed to start that dream. And because you can't see it, because no one in your family ever achieved it, because you were born in a situation where everybody did the ladder, who are you? Who are you to get an education? Who are you to start your health journey? Who are you to reclaim a life in your mid-years? Who are you? Well, you are a child of God. That's who you are. You are a child of God, and you were created to prosper. There is, again, this is in Genesis, where God says, I believe, go and be fruitful. Be fruitful and be fruitful on the earth. Now, one of the things that I have come to understand, and every time it's becoming more and more prevalent in my life, is that, especially as I read the word, God doesn't just say things, right? He doesn't just say, he's not like us. He doesn't just say things to be saying things. Why would he say go be fruitful and be fruitful on the earth? Why would he say that twice? That got me to thinking, and I kept reading that, be fruitful, go and be fruitful on the earth. Why he kept saying that? Like, if you say be fruitful, then it's like, okay, be fruitful. But he said be fruitful, then he said be fruitful on the earth. So what I come to realize is that exactly what he meant. That's exactly what he meant. He meant be fruitful, which is, of course, have children, have your children's children, pray prosperous. But then he said be fruitful on this earth, which is create, to build, to move forward, to go after, become. You were meant to be creative. We are all creative creatures. We were all meant to be abundant. We were all meant to be in a space where you are supposed to produce, regardless if you produce or not. Now, one would say that everybody's producing, whether it's producing something good or producing something bad. But you're producing. I leave that up to you. But one would say, if you are supposed to be fruitful, why not bet on yourself? Why not take that mentality and invest it in yourselves? Why not take that mentality and put God to the test? Now, one would say, oh, you're not supposed to test God. Why not? Why not? He wants you to. He wants you to, because his word is born. What he says is. So if you come to God and you stand on business for what he said he would do, he has an obligation to you. He's obligated. He's obligated to see that vision through. The thing is, the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship that you, whether you choose to or not, because here's the thing, having a relationship, or I should say establishing a relationship with yourself is an automatic with establishing a relationship with God, I believe. Because it's something to be said when you start to work on yourself internally. You get to hear and be in a state of mind where you are welcoming your angels, you are welcoming good things in your life, because now you want good for yourself. And you might be saying, of course I want good for myself. Well, how are you speaking about your dreams? How are you treating yourself? Are you speaking kindness to yourself? Are you pouring into yourself? Are you respecting your body and the things that you put in it? And this is not about being perfect, because none of us is perfect, including myself. But I believe if you every day strive to be a better version than you was yesterday, you can only win. Be sure to sign up and get your free gift. This will help you recalibrate, heal your nervous system, enabling you to have more of the tools so you can be successful in your endeavors in this journey we call life. Guys, until the next time, stay blessed.
Hey guys, leave a comment, a review, preferably 5 stars. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram, because what is popping over there? And also check out my YouTube channel to stay connected and see your girl's lovely face. Guys, I love you so much. Keep on pushing, and I'll definitely speak to you soon. Be blessed.